What can Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory teach us about friendship and boundaries? If you've ever watched The Big Bang Theory, you may think that Sheldon isn't particularly the best person to base a friendship model off. But there is something that he does that can teach us something very, very important, and that is the roommate contract. The roommate contract is a very, very severe version of what all of us have in relationships, which is boundaries. A big difference is that in the majority of relationships, boundaries are completely unspecified. They exist, they are there, but no one's ever really talked about what they are. They just seem to happen naturally. And by naturally, boundaries tend to happen to favour the more dominant person within a relationship. And I use the word dominant, but that can mean more confident, it can mean more assertive, or it can just be one that is less conscious of other people's needs. In fact, if we look at Sheldon as a model for this, Sheldon's roommate agreements initially were written completely to benefit him. And throughout the whole concept of the show, he knows what his boundaries are very, very clearly. And why he might not be the greatest example of boundaries is because he doesn't seem to know or respect other people's. However, if those things were to be agreed upon in advance and placed into a roommate contract, he actually would. If you struggle with boundaries within a relationship, then chances are you are the less dominant person in that pairing. And as a result, that means the boundaries seem to suit your friends or family members better than they suit you. Now, a less dominant person is often inclined to avoid the conflict and stay away from trying to tamper with these boundaries because actually confronting it is kind of scary. We choose the peace in this moment of not having that confrontation. However, that peace comes at a cost. And over time, the more your boundaries that you wish for aren't respected, the more of a problem you're going to have. It is going to create friction within the friendship or relationship. And over time, you're just going to grow to resent that person. And you might sit there thinking, why does this person just not pick up on the fact that my needs aren't being met? Well, as I said, the boundary has happened organically over time, and people very much settle into those roles. And if the boundaries suit you, you're probably never going to challenge them. It's extremely rare. In fact, I don't think I've heard of a single situation where a person has stopped and thought, these boundaries in this relationship work fine for me, but I've never stopped to think of whether they work fine for the other person. I wonder if I could be honouring their boundaries better. It is pretty much always the person what the boundaries aren't suiting that is the one to bring this to light. And because we sit on it and we let it chip away at us for a long period of time, and that resentment is already building, we let it get to a point where we're so uncomfortable in the existing boundaries before we even dare challenge them and try to create new ones. We end up with that situation where the way in which we approach it might not be the most amiable, it could be aggressive, it could be frustrated, and as a result, the other person then thinks that we are being the problem. So this is why I actually think that Sheldon's roommate agreement is not that bad. It might be a little bit too extreme, but there's a lot that we can learn from it. As we get older, we tend to learn what our boundaries are by having people step on them. That's it. We find out that that's not good for me when it's happened one or usually too many times. And though it might not be the friend that you're currently dealing with that has stepped on that boundary in the past, it might be important for you to proactively implement that boundary so that you never get to that point of frustration with the other person. If we approach setting boundaries with people before the frustration or the resentment builds up, we approach that situation in a significantly nicer and calmer way. We're doing things proactively, and rather than it turning into an argument, it can just be a discussion. And though I'm not saying we write out a 16-page roommate agreement and have everybody sign it in triplicate, I am saying it might be an idea to proactively sit down with your friends and let them know what things are deal breakers for you, what things make you feel uncomfortable, and things that you are or aren't prepared to do. Because even though it might seem uncomfortable to do that in the short term, It will save you so much discomfort and help you with your friendships moving forward in a way that will take away significant amounts of discomfort for the future you. And also, if a friend just shoots you down and isn't willing to budge whatsoever when you come at it like that, gives you an indication that maybe that's someone that you shouldn't be spending so much time with. Because if a person's not willing to take your boundaries seriously when you approach them in this manner, chances are they're probably going to step all over them, and that resentment and that frustration could be part of that future. Although it's never a nice thing to lose a friendship, I personally think that it's better to lose one knowing than it is to invest all of your time and energy in one that could never work out. I hope this video has been helpful, and good luck in your boundary setting with your friends.